Hello everyone. In this video, we will see more example of how we convert NFA null to NFA and DFA. See the diagram. It is AB any number of time. The regular expression for this automata is AB any number of time, that is AB whole claim closure. For this diagram, this is NFA with null transition. We need to convert it into NFA and DFA. We know how to make the table. Just Q naught on reading null. See the diagram. It doesn't have any null transition, so I have given phi here. Q naught on reading A is going to Q1. Q naught on reading B is going to state. We do not have any transition on B for Q naught, so therefore phi. Similarly, Q1 on reading null doesn't have any null transition, so phi. On A doesn't have any transition, so therefore phi. Q1 on reading B is going to state Q2. Q2 on reading A null is Q2 on reading null. It has a null transition towards Q0, so therefore it is Q0. Q2 on reading A is phi because it doesn't have any transition for A or B. So for A or B both it has phi. Now we need to compute these two columns, that is delta star on for every state Q0, Q1 and Q2. What is the extended transition function for symbol A and what is the extended transition function for these three states Q0, Q1 and Q2 with the symbol B. We will find out the extended transition function and we'll complete the table. Then we'll map those two columns into NFA and DFA. Delta star Q0 on reading null, we all know extended transition function for string null is the base case, so it returns Q0 only. And we need to find out the null closure of Q0. I'll get Q0 and Q0 doesn't have any transition on null, it is phi, so it remains Q0. Then delta star Q0 with A. I hope you all remember this formula. Null closure of union of R that belongs to delta star Q0 comma null delta R comma A. We know the formula delta star Q0 null is Q0. So I'll just put it like this. Union of R that belongs to Q0 delta R comma A. In this set we have only one element Q0. This is the only element. So I'll just replace R with Q0. So null closure of delta Q0 comma A. Now see the table. What is the transition of Q0 on reading A? Q0 on reading A is going to state Q1. So I'll write this is null closure of state Q1. And since null closure of state Q1 is Q1 and Q1 doesn't have any null transition, so we will have this value as Q1. So I'll write delta star Q comma A. Delta star Q comma A is Q1. Similarly, I have to do the same thing for symbol B. Put it like this. Now we know that union R that belongs to Q0 delta R comma B. Replace this R with Q0. This is null closure of Q0. That is, there's only one element, so I'll remove this union. Delta Q0 comma B. Now see the table. Q0 on reading B, Q0 on reading B doesn't have any transition, that is phi. That is, we have null closure of phi. Null closure of phi is phi. So I have this phi. Now we will repeat the same thing for state Q1. That is, we need to find out the extended transition function for the state Q1 for symbol A and symbol B both. So delta star Q1 null is, we know it is the base case, so I'll get Q1 only. Q1 null closure of Q1 is Q1, and since there is no null transition on Q1, so it remains Q1. Similarly, we need to find out delta star Q1A, that is null closure of union of R that belongs to delta star Q1 comma null delta R comma A. We know already delta star Q1 comma null is Q1. So this becomes R that belongs to Q1 delta R comma A. Replace R with Q1 by Q1, so it becomes delta Q1 on reading A. So see the table, Q1 on reading A is 5. So null closure of 5 is 5. Now we will repeat the process for delta star Q1 comma B. That is the same thing. It becomes union of R that belongs to Q1 delta R comma B. Replace R with B. Replace R with Q1, sorry. It becomes null closure of delta Q1 comma B. See the table, Q1 on reading B is going to Q2. So I get this Q2. And null closure of Q2 is Q2, as well as there is a transition of null, that is by reading null Q2 state is going to state Q0. So I have this transition, this one, a null transition. So Q2 and Q0 is also there in that set. Q2 comma Q0. So this becomes Q2 comma Q0. Delta star for state Q2. Find out now this Q2. What will be the answer? Delta star Q2, first of all, with null, that is null closure of Q2, we will get Q2 and Q0. Then delta star Q2 comma A is null closure of union of R that belongs to Q2. Instead of writing Q2, we'll go one step back. That is delta star Q2 comma null delta R comma A, which is equal to null closure of union of, replace this delta star Q2 comma null, we have already found as Q2 Q0. It is Q2, that is R belongs to Q2 Q0 delta R comma A. Now replace each element, that is R with Q2 as well as R with Q0, and perform the union operation. So delta Q2 with A union with delta Q0 with A. So now we know that there is no null transition of Q2 on A. See this diagram, Q2 doesn't have any transition on A, so I get phi. Union with Q0 with A, Q0 with A. Q0 on reading A has a transition, it is going to state Q1. So I'll write this Q1. So it is null closure of Q1. It is only Q1. Q1 doesn't have any null transition, it will remain Q1. So I'll write this as delta star Q comma A for state Q2 is Q1. Repeat the process for state, that is for the symbol B on state Q2. I'll just make small changes in this same thing. Now replace R with Q2 and Q0. So delta Q2 with B union delta Q0 with B. Then whole clean closure, whole null closure. Delta Q2 on reading B, Q2 doesn't have any transition on B, so phi union Q0 doesn't have any transition on B, so again phi union phi is phi, null closure of phi is phi. So I get phi in this place. Now we have completed the column delta star Q comma A, delta star Q comma B. Now I will just map this into the diagram for NFA and DFA. Let us draw NFA for this table. Initial state in the main diagram is Q0, so I'll make this as the initial state. Q0 on reading A is going to state Q1. Q0 on reading B is phi, so we do not need to make any of the transition for element B. Now come to state Q1. See the column, this column. Q1 on reading A is going to state phi. It means it doesn't have any transition on A. Q1 on reading B is going to state Q0 and Q2. Q0 and Q2. So there are two states. It is going on reading B. Q0 as well as Q2. Now Q2 on reading A is going to state Q1 and Q2 on reading B doesn't have any transition as it is, this is phi. So we have completed the diagram. The only thing we need to put, what is the accepting state in this NFA? See the main diagram. What was the accepting state? Q0 was the accepting state there. So we will make Q0 as the accepting state here. So this is the NFA for the given non-deterministic finite automata with null transition. This is the equivalent NFA. Now I'll make the DFA for the same. What are the possible states here? See the elements in these two columns. What I can see, there is one state, initial state, that is Q0 has to be there. Also the states which are in these two columns, that is Q1 is there, phi is there, and Q0, Q1 is there. So start from the initial state. Q0. See the row Q0. Q0 on reading A is going on Q1 and on reading B it is going on state phi. So on reading A it is going to state Q1. Q0 on reading B is going on state phi. Now Q1 on reading A is going on state phi. Q1 on reading B is going to state Q0, Q2. Now we need to complete the transition for the state Q0, Q2. Q0, Q2 on reading A, where it is going. So for that, we need to see the rows. This one, that is for Q0, and for the row for Q2. See, Q0 on reading A is going on Q1. Perform the union operation. Q0, that is Q2 on reading A is also going on Q1. So I get Q0, Q2 on reading A is going to state Q1. Q0, Q2 on reading A is going to state Q1. Similarly, repeat the process for B. Q0 on reading B is phi. Union with Q2 on reading B is also phi. So phi union phi is phi. So the state Q0, Q2 on reading B is going to state phi. Remember, for phi, both A and B, it remains on phi. So this is the DFA for the given non-deterministic finite automata for null transition. Remember, whenever you have NFA with null transition, you just have to make the table and the columns for delta star, that is extended transition function. Once the table is completed, we just consider the columns, these columns for the states Q0, Q1 and Q2, and we'll make use of the information in the table to make the diagram for NFA and DFA. The same table will be helpful to design NFA and DFA. I hope the concept is clear to you. Thank you for watching the video. Please do write your comments.